y'all? Welcome to the Why Podcast, where why is always the question. And guess what, y'all? I got me a guest today. So my guest is an actress that has acted in several commercials, and she has done several independent movies that continues to propel her career forward. You hear me? In addition to that, she is also an amazing coach, an award-winning acting coach. You hear that? She's also a songwriter and a singer and has one of the most difficult jobs in the world, which is, guess what? Being a mother, okay? So for today's why boundaries are a must, please welcome my beautiful guest, Darvinique Hawthorne. Hey, girl!
If you ain't come for that, don't come for me. I need the introduction like that all the time. That was wonderful. Wow. That was the best introduction I've ever had.
Oh, listen, because you deserve it. It's all of you and more with more to come, right?
You know what? I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. That was on point.
So listen, we're going to hop into today's why, because I know so many people out here have these types of questions, who are career mothers, who are maybe married or not married, divorced, widow, whatever the case may be. And as parents or as co-parents or whatever, we have boundaries that we have to learn to put into place. I know I have to learn that, and we've talked about that several times, which is why I was like, this is a great episode for us to have, because these kids especially don't know and understand these boundaries. It's like, you can't just walk all over me. I still gotta have my, I love you.
Right,
but I gotta have my space as well. Because what we doing, right?
Yeah, what we doing? If we don't teach them personal space now, they're going to think that they can infringe upon anybody, whether that be in the professional setting, just in general, work, school, you name it. So it's important that we teach them boundaries and teach them that we have boundaries too. And the importance of
and I've been doing that a lot more. I've been making sure I'm like, hey, because I noticed I'll be like, okay, give me one moment, I'm doing something. And then, one of my children, mostly my daughter, still be like, oh, okay. And then they'll continue on with the conversation as though I didn't just say, give me a moment. And I had to be like, hey, raise my hand, wave the white flag. Hey, listen, I don't know if you heard me the first time. I don't want to cut you off. And I also don't want to be rude by acting as though I'm listening, and I'm not. I'm busy right now. Give me some time. That means to cut and cut. So I want to get starting off this conversation and this interview with the first question that I have for you, which is starting with parenting and boundaries. So you're very intentional about boundaries as a mother, as we've just discussed. What inspired you to set those clear distinctions between your time with yourself, your children, and your work?
Oh, okay. So it's interesting. It all kind of works together because, first of all, as a mother, we always want to be there for our kids. And sometimes we can find ourselves neglecting ourselves to show up for them, and it does start at home first. And I felt like before the boundaries got put into place, I was doing that all the time. I was always neglecting myself to show up to be the parent, but I was doing it from a place of, I want to show the world that I'm a great parent. So I'm going to just drop everything and I'm going to show up for my kids. And that's not really being a great parent, because it's not even being a great person. I'm really hurting myself. And so I had to put those boundaries into place. And the same way I put those boundaries into place dealing with my kids, I do it the same way when it involves work. If I have a set time and a set schedule for what I know I got to achieve and accomplish, I'm on do not disturb. I don't take any extra calls that I know that's not coming in. And learning to say no and not feel bad about it. Unapologetically saying no.
As you just mentioned, I want to show the world. I think it's this thing that we have set in, that we have to not only prove to ourselves but to others that, hey, I'm a great mom, or I'm a great person, or I'm always available. And that is it can become toxic to ourselves if we don't set those boundaries. So like that you said, unapologetically, it's okay to say no. I have to learn that at times.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's so important, because when we say yes to things that we deeply know we're supposed to say no to,
yes, we do.
Disrespect ourselves. We
Yes, we do.
disrespect ourselves, and I have been very disrespectful to
So,
myself in the
yeah,
past.
go ahead.
You know,
So
and usually it me recognizing it at that once I realized, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I beat myself up so bad about it. Like, why didn't I just say? It's like I cowered in standing up for myself. I've cowered in standing up for myself and protecting not only my peace, my progress, because those interruptions
Yes, it
affect your
does.
progress too.
It does. And like knowing when to say no, is that like one of the major boundaries that had the biggest impact in your life when it has come to your relationships with your daughters or any other relationships or with your work?
Yes, yes, absolutely. No is starting to be my favorite word. You know, we gotta say no. And here's the thing about saying no. We have to, I'm speaking for myself. I had to remind myself of why I'm saying no so I wouldn't feel
Yeah.
bad about the no. The no
mm,
was coming from an integral place, an honest place. It was coming from a place of love, love for myself, productivity. Like I have to think about all those things because no a lot of times can
Right.
be like a womp womp. It's got
Right.
that little down effect. But I have to remember,
Right.
why am I saying no? I'm saying no
right.
because I have a deadline. I'm saying no because I'm overextended. I'm saying no because if I don't, I'm going to get lost in the sauce by just stopping what I'm doing here and trying to come over here. So no
Right.
is
So
being
it's about
practiced
more
all
so
the
about
time.
the intention behind it, knowing the reason
Yeah.
why. It's like, I'm going to say this right now. I need to say it because I need to protect myself in so many different spaces. And so putting the intention behind it, it's like putting that battery in your back. When you saying no, they got some oomph to it.
Got some to it.
Yes, it do. It's got some substance to it. And you feel more
Hmm.
confident because you said
Yes,
no for the
yes.
right reason.
So moving on from just even saying no with your children, how about when it comes to co-parenting? Co-parenting definitely comes with its challenges. Whether you're active or interactive in one another's lives or not. How do you and your ex-husband navigate parenting together while maintaining healthy boundaries amongst you two?
Ooh, that's hard. It's hard when we're both on different pages. When you have two parents that are on different pages, they see parenting differently. They don't see eye to eye. And so everything seems so cut and dry. So it's really hard to kind of like find that medium. You still do your best to try to make it work, but sometimes it's just like, for me, I'm not about to go there. I'm not about to fight. I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue. Just, this is what it is. We either move
So
forward
your
or
so
we're
your
going to have to go a
boundaries when it
different
comes to
direction.
co-parenting is more so about like just keep the peace. Keep the peace. You have your way, I have my way. We're just going to draw
Yeah.
this line in the sand, and we're going to go about our merry way and do the best that we can on each ends of the spectrum, which is fair.
The best that we can, because uh, divorce ain't easy. And then when there's children involved, it's not easy because when you have two different styles of parenting, it's going to conflict. It's gonna clash, like for example, our oldest daughter, sh like when she's with her dad, he's not allowing her to do certain things over there. And I'm like, well, why? There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm like, you come over here. So, and then you have to be careful
Yeah,
because now they can play
because they're
defense
smart. Those little rascals. They
and they
always know
always
because
get what they
they know.
want.
Oh, mommy don't do this, but daddy does, and daddy don't do this, and mommy does. So you know what? I'm gonna figure out a way to get what I want, and unfortunately, that also crosses the boundaries that you've already set, that you've all set with one another. So they start crossing, and then we have all this confusion that comes. So what's one common misconception that people have about co-parenting? Like, what has your experience taught you?
Focus on the kids.
Yeah.
Focus on what would be best for the kids and not my personal wants,
Yeah.
and how I would do, like, what would be honestly best for them if we took out all of what we want to blah 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 fight about or whatever. If we removed all of that and all of the negative thoughts and we focused
Yeah.
on what would actually be better for the kids, I think
Yeah.
that's where the ease or the release
Yes.
starts to come in at.
Yes. That's where, you know, I've been in that situation before in the past, and it's not easy. I had to bite my tongue on a lot of different things because co-parenting sometimes it's like co-families, you know, because you got auntie, cousin, sister, brother, mama over on that side with their 2 cents, and then yours on your side with your 2 cents. And so it's like, oh my gosh, and the two of you were in the middle and the children are in the middle. And so it's like, how do I go about making sure I don't step on any toes, but make sure my toes don't get stepped on either? That's where these boundaries are coming into place. So, and I know it's not an easy space to navigate, especially even if you just want to go along and get along. If you want to be cool with everyone, you just got that one. It's going to make it difficult. Even if it's the children who's going to play parents against one another. So,
Yeah, play.
have your boundaries ever been tested? Whether, well, I know it's been tested with your children by trying to play you guys against each other, but has it ever been tested by outside opinions? And then how do you reinforce them with love and consistency?
With outside opinions, have my boundaries been tested? Yes. My family crazy. They always got some advice for me about how they would handle
Right.
a certain situation. Oh my goodness, yeah. They, sometimes they tell me, "Girl, you a little too nice. This is what I would have done. This is how you need to do. Give me the number. Let me do it." That kind of thing. And I just gotta breathe. And I'll be like, "Nah, I can't do that. I got a lot. I got too much on the line. I got a lot on the line.
Right.
I can't move like that." And I think that's
Right.
another thing too,
Yeah.
knowing what you have and what
Yeah.
you can't lose will
Right.
cause
Isn't
you to
that
stay in
funny?
place.
Isn't that funny? Even having to set the balance with your family in regards to what you set up with your, ex-husband and with your children, to where you want to make sure they don't overstep theirs, and sometimes they do because they're family. And it's like, in the smallest things, it
Yep.
could even be, I didn't give my child that toy because he was acting a mess in the store, or she was acting a mess in the store, and I said, "No, you can't have that." But then Auntie would be like, "Oh, but just get it for. I'm gonna send you the money right now." I got the money to pay for it, and even if I did or didn't, I said no because I didn't like the way he or she was acting. But I want this coming from Auntie. So now you just overstepped what I just said. So now in their little minds, they're like, "Oh, so when I act out, as long as Auntie on the phone or around, it's cool." No.
Yeah, no. And that's another thing. I'm so glad we're bringing this up, because I had a conversation with my sister about the very same topic. I said, this is why I said we're not going to do X, Y, Z, because look at the result of
Yeah.
that, how it
Yeah.
affects the children. You know what I'm saying? So if I
Yeah.
tell you, Mommy, I don't allow my kids to do this, I want you to have my support, my back. And that's
Yeah.
like how it is with co-parenting too. You got to be on one accord,
Yes.
with the children.
Yeah.
You got to be, whether that's auntie, husband, ex-husband, spouse, partner, whoever you're co-parenting, and who's helping you with the kids. Everybody got to be on one accord. It's the adults
Yes.
coming together for the better
Yes.
service of the kids, not
Right.
giving the kid
I
what
can
they
remember
want.
even when I was a little girl, my mother would tell, my grandmother what not to give us to eat or what not to let us do or what not. And my grandmother was pretty strict, but when it came to food, she didn't care what my mama said. And my mom was shopping at Whole Foods in the 80s. Okay. You hear me? So no candy, no sugar syrup, none of that. But grandma, no pork, none of it. Grandma didn't care. Grandma was like corn syrup. Grandma like pork bacon, and this trip was out. I remember thinking to myself when I was a little kid, like, well, Mommy said, but then we go to grandma's house. Well, then I guess it's okay because grandma said it's okay. And I remember being a little confused in that little space, but as I got a little older, started finding my way, like, no, my mama said no now. I'm not doing that.
That's right.
Doing that.
Exactly. And then too, I think when we're dealing with circumstances like that, this also teaches our children boundaries as well. No, my mom said don't go over there. They're understanding boundaries with all of that. And then I think my biggest thing that I had to start practicing with my kids is, even if they did it over at auntie's house, what did I tell you? So I was like, I need to make your
Right.
consequences greater.
Right. Setting those rules into place and this letting them know, now I'm boxing you in. Said what I said.
Yep.
Yes, I like that. Because I know sometimes, my husband hates it when I, when you're tired as a parent, you kind of let them get away with things for a little bit. My oldest son would say, "Yeah, but Mama will circle back around when when the energy comes up. Like, remember that time last week? I'm ready. Look." Let's go. It's so funny. But with me, I have such a big family where I just be like, oh, it's all of you against me. It's like it's too many. So I gotta line all y'all up. If I tell you what I find myself doing is, if I tell one person a rule, which I usually don't like to do this, I'm like, no. Everybody come here. Because I don't want to tell this rule to 9 different times, 10 different times. Everybody come here. I'm setting it in motion now.
Yes.
I said this. If this is not done, this is what's going to happen. These are the circumstances. These are the situation that's going to happen if it doesn't get done. Period.
Yes.
If it doesn't get done.
Yes, that's it.
Because I don't need them saying, I didn't hear. Well, I didn't know Mama said. Because I can't stand. One of my children always do. Well, I didn't know that. Okay, I got you. She one of the main reasons why I'm like, everybody come here. I'm so sick of that's her go-to. So how about work and self-care and balance? We're going to go into that space with so many responsibilities as a parent, as a career woman, and you're co-parenting, and you have so many things going from you because you're so talented. How do you carve out and protect your time for yourself?
I'll be fighting like a dog to get that time. I'm swinging, wings flying, lashes lifted. I'm going in.
Right.
All jokes aside, I realize, and this
Yeah.
takes a lot of self-discipline, because if you know you need that time for yourself, if you don't take the time for yourself, I said take. I'm not talking about make it, because you could make the time and then don't take it.
Right.
So when you take the time for yourself, because you know it's going to make you better, functionable, or for you to function throughout the day, it's an urgency to do it. I'm gonna give you an example. So when I don't spend that quiet time with myself, I'll let that airplane pass. When I don't take that time to spend for myself, that I'm talking about that quality self-care time, and I just get up and I think I'm just gonna go and run through the day, I'm edgy, I'm moody, I'm short, I'm curting my answers, I'm sharp, I'm not smiling. I got an I have an attitude, but for no reason.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just edgy.
Yeah.
When honestly the reason is I did not spend that quality time for myself. I did not take that time for myself. And for me, I got to get in the word. I got to get in some scripture, some worship, some prayer, something that just really calms my mind and my soul down. Like today, I was listening to Psalms 121 because I found myself going through having that rat race energy. I got to do this.
Yes.
This is coming up. This is coming up. And I felt the Father tell me, slow down.
Definitely.
Stop.
Definitely.
Anxious for nothing. Be anxious for nothing. And I slowed down and I listened to Psalms 121, and I was just trolleying through Target today. I had time to pick up a few things. I was before the time. I went to work out. I wasn't rushing my workout.
So important.
So
important.
yeah, it's so important.
I was at the table the other day, and I struggle, y'all. I do. I struggle. I'm telling my kids because I got a loud house. I told y'all It's them against me. Okay? Those of y'all know. I had 10 children. I have my heaven baby, my oldest son. He decided my siblings are too loud. I'm moving out. So him and my nephew stay down the street. So it's 8 of them. When my husband home, it's 8 against 2. But when he at work, it's 8 against 1. Okay? And I'll tell them, like, be quiet. And I find myself saying, be quiet, be quiet. And I just need some peace because I find that as I'm getting older, because listen, y'all, I didn't work. I done got my degrees through the noise. I done had babies through the noise. As I've gotten older, though, I'm like, I need more quiet time. And I notice when I'm just down here by myself in my space, I don't even say nothing. And I'm having conversations with the Lord all day. And I'm like, oh, I love this. And I was telling my kids, I was like, I told them to stop, be quiet. And they just they weren't listening. I was tired of the yelling. And I felt the Father moving me and say, just put on some worship music. I put on some worship music. It was like everybody, it was like the calm came. And I was just, I'm just singing along, and I'm like, praise you, Father. And they got it. And so I said, and in the morning, guess what? Usually when they want to bicker and argue, I put on my worship music. Let me tell you something. It was silent. I said, what a beautiful, and I said, what a beautiful and glorious day it is. Isn't it a beautiful, glorious day? Yes, Mommy. I said, man. I said, we take the time to just love one another and be thankful for each other in the day that we're in. It just that. The power of music. The power of music. It did.
That saturated the atmosphere. Everybody got to benefit
I said, okay,
from
I need to
it.
It's like an everyday thing. And I've been testing, like I know when I get in the car and it's a song. You know how we get in the car. Oh, that's my song. We just jamming, just riding. And I noticed that this morning I listened to a song that came on by Silk Sonic. And I said, oh, yeah. And we just jamming. And I could hear in my spirit, like, put on that worship music, girl. Go ahead and calm everything. I know you love this song. You like, put on the worship music. And so I'm like, okay, let me get back to getting focused, to keeping the calm. And I believe it begins with us. You know, our kids know how they can get over on us. You know, that's why we got to protect ourselves.
It does start with us. You know, we're feeding them. We're nurturing them. And if we're getting filled up with that very same thing that causes us to be peaceful and causing us to feel organized and calling us to feel like we back on track, it's going to affect the entire tribe, the entire family, because you know, what is that saying? What happens to the head affects the body. What happens in leaderships affects the congregation, affects the team.
Yes.
Everybody.
So what advice would you give to mothers who feel like they must always be on and struggle to set personal time for themselves?
I'd be honest with your kids. Be honest with your kids. Be honest with your kids. Of course, if you got toddlers, then you know you have to shift a little bit different. My kids are at an age where they understand, and I can communicate with them. I let them know, because before I got to this place, I was like trying to hold it together and trying to look like I'd have no mistakes at all, and I felt my vase crack open and water began to spill out of it. And that was a moment where I broke and I started crying. I was like, I don't have it all together. And I remember hearing a minister share, we need to be honest with our children. We need to let them know we don't always have perfect days as parents. And so I sat my children down and I said, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed out, and I'm going to need y'all help. I'm going to need you guys to help me, because I don't want to snap out. I don't want to say anything that's going to hurt your feelings, just out of me being spread thin. I said, I need you to help me. If I ask you to do something, just do it. Just do
that was the conversation I had. Yes, the other day, because it's like it's too much. And you know what? I can say sometimes we don't read these little people. They know they're as wise beyond their little years, as young, and we think, oh, they little baby. Let me tell you something. I told my son the other day. I said, he likes to run around here in his underwear, my 3-year-old. I'm like, go put some clothes on, it's cold. Well, no, I'm warm, Mommy. I said, well, I understand that your blood it probably does run hot like your father's. I'm sure it does. But seeing you without clothes, and if for me it feels cold in this environment, I would like you to put at least a shirt on. Okay, mommy. But for him to just say, he didn't say I'm hot. He didn't say, he said I am warm. He was very specific on his answer. They do. Oh my gosh, they do.
They
My,
really,
my,
they know it. They know how
yes.
to articulate.
That's why we don't give them
They know.
enough. And I know
They know.
I'm guilty about that. My older ones when they were younger, I was like, these little children. Listen, let me tell you something. My daughter was saying the Lord's Prayer. She's 3. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Oh, hold up. Because what it is, like you said, how we lead our children, how it starts with us, is what we consistently do that they do consistently and what they hear consistently. So that's why I never was the kind of parent that was into the goo goo gaga. I was having full-on conversations because my oldest son was talking like, hi, my name is Amir at 1.5. Okay, that clear. Okay. And I have full-on conversations with these children, even if they aren't able to clearly, express themselves because they're babbling, but they can't say exactly. Let me tell you something. I had my 3-month-old hit my 1-year-old when she was a baby, like, get out my face. And her face everything was like, And I was like, did she just? And when she got a little older, when she got one herself, and when she got 2, she said, get out my face. I said, oh, so she really was doing that at 3 months. Like, back up.
Yes. Yep. They know. And so, yeah. And so, circling back around, be honest with your kids and let them know. And here's a beautiful thing in that. When they see us fall and make mistakes and get back up, it gives them permission to do the same. And it shows them they don't have to show up perfect every single day. Even with their friends, with their coworkers in business, they can show up as humanly as possible.
Right.
Show up as a human. We make mistakes.
We do. And I think what's so beautiful about that part of when we make the mistakes, if we lean into them and we talk to our children about the mistakes that we've made, and they understand, it's okay as long as I make sure I can own up to the mistake and step into correcting the mistake and not to continue making the mistake. That helps them grow. It builds character so much in them. Because we're not going to let that just stay there. Because, I tell my children, okay, we see a problem. What's the solution? Because I'm a solution person. I'm very solution driven. I don't like to complain. I'm like, okay, if I have a problem within myself, what's the solution? Okay, then let's do that. Let's make a plan and let's attack it. So having that with children, yes. Oh my gosh. It's so important. So important.
Oh God, that's beautiful. I love that. And one other thing, because you talked about being tired. I get tired too sometimes as a parent. And I'm like, I don't feel like disciplining you. I don't feel like whooping you. I don't feel like saying nothing to you. I'm just gonna let it slide. And one of the things that I remember putting into practice with my kids when I found out the information is called a tight action point. Mm-hmm. And I think you and I spoke about this, Yeah, we spoke about this. Ladies and gentlemen, for y'all who don't know, this is my sister. Okay. And so we spoke about this, and it took, when the first couple times I started doing it, I was hyped, I was excited about it, and I'll explain what it is in a second. And then over time, you still fall back into that, I'm tired, right. I don't feel like dealing with them right now, right? But here's the thing. A tight action point is, first of all, you introduce it to your kids, to your family. You introduce it to them. You let them know, mommy's gonna start something new with all of you guys, with everybody, with both of you, however many kids you have. If I ask you to do something, I want you to do it right away. Whether you're on the game, whether you're, playing roadblocks, building blocks, watching, doesn't matter. If I ask you to do something, I'm expecting you from this day forward to do it right away. I'm not going to raise my voice. I'm not going to ask you twice. And if I ask you one time and you don't do it in a timely manner, and by the way, doing it quickly shows a respect of the other person's time. Like if I ask you to take out the trash at 10 a.m. and you don't do it until 10 p.m.,
right.
That's a
Mhm.
lack of respect for my time. That's a lack of respect for me as a person. So anyway, circling back around, a tight action point is when I tell you to do something, and if you don't do it, I take action right away. I'm taking the TV, you're turning the TV, you don't get the game, you're grounded forever, you punish for however long, whatever that consequence is for the parent to give to the
So
child,
let me
do
ask
it
you this
immediately.
question. And I'm gonna ask this question, and I'm gonna give you the context of why. I want to do a lot of things with my children, and I like to do these mommy dates and whatnot, and try to set it up and make things happen. And sometimes I just have these unofficial mommy dates where I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna go do this or whatever. Sometimes I don't get to it. Sometimes I don't get to it, whether
Yes.
it's finances, whether it's time got away from me, whether it's work, whatever the case may be, I didn't get to it. And I have my 6-year-old saying to me, well, mommy, you always say you're going to do this and you don't do it. And it makes me feel like, oh man, I don't like to be made to make myself like I'm a liar because children are simple. You said you're going to do this, you didn't do it, you lied. It's simple like that for them. So with this type action point, should it go? But I feel like for me, I would say yes. For me, should it go both ways? If they ask, and not that the ball's in their court and running stuff, but if I say I'm going to do something, I need to make sure I'm taking immediate action on that. I need to be intentional about shutting down the work. I need to be intentional about putting a little bit of money to the side if it's going to be costly, a little costly,
Yeah.
or because really mostly is for me, it's my time. Do you feel like it should go both ways? Like you should, and how do you hold yourself accountable? What gets taken away from you if you don't do that action?
Yes. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. Because sometimes I'm guilty of that. Sometimes I think, oh, my work, my work, my work, and I'll get a conviction. Uh, put the phone down. You can get off the computer. You can. You already said, and that is a lack of respect for our
Yeah.
children too. Let me say, oh, this is so good. So back in the day when my oldest daughter used to go, she used to have like gymnastics, she used to have karate practice, she had all these different activities that she was going to. And because me thinking, I don't know where this thought came from, because they're children, their activities are less important than mine. Their game days, their whatever's, right?
Mhm.
And my daughter used to say, can you take me to practice or whatever? And I would be running late because I was dragging my feet, procrastinating, just a lack of respect. You're just going to gymnastics or you're just going to this ain't, I would have all these reasons why it ain't paying the bills.
A
As a
lot
matter of fact,
of
I'm
it,
paying them.
honey.
You know what I'm saying? So all these different reasons of what would
Right.
encourage my procrastination, right?
Right.
And one day, my daughter came to me. She said, Mom, it's embarrassing that you keep bringing me late and everybody else is showing up on time. I want to be on time too. I feel like you don't respect me when you're taking me late. And
Mm.
it's so right that she said that because it's not fair. If she could take herself,
Yeah.
wouldn't she get in the car and drive herself? Wouldn't she pack up her
Yeah.
little backpack and get
Yeah.
herself there? Right? Since then, I cut it out. I cut it off. I cut it out. I said, we're going to get you on time. It was such a sincere
Right.
correction. She was like, I
Right.
want to be on
Right.
time too.
Right.
She went on to say, you make sure you're on time to your meetings and your business appointments and da 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 da. I want to be on time for my
Right.
activities too. So
Right.
she's watching and learning how I'm always on time. She wants to
Yes.
do the same thing too. So how
Yeah.
dare I show the lack of respect and
Yeah.
integrity and,
And it's good that you
for
took
her life.
ego
So
out.
that was like,
You heard her, and I know she felt heard, that's beautiful right there. That's beautiful. Oh my goodness. Oh, that was so much. And I know it's like, oh, it's a parent. You're like, oh my gosh. What am I teaching you? But that was such a learning lesson even for the both of you. I had a situation with my older daughter. I try to attend all of my children's choir performances, track meets, football games, tennis match. I try to attend all of it. One weekend, so I still, as you can probably tell, with the exasperation in my voice, I feel so pulled with this one. My daughter was she last year, she was trying to get into the state competition, for choir. She didn't make it. She got close and didn't make it. This year she did. And the weekend that I took her and dropped her off. She was on time. Everything was great. I didn't go to this performance. I had to go out of town later that evening, and I wanted to get a little rest at home, and I wanted to hang out with the younger children before I left, because I try to, with the big family, you try to spread yourself between the children individually, groups of them versus the oldest and the youngest, all of them together. And so I took the little ones to the park and, stayed home for a little bit. And so she came to me. She did great. It was a wonderful experience. And she looked hurt. I asked her what was wrong. She said, I really wanted you to be at my performance. She said, I saw all the other children with their parents around, and then you weren't there. And to find out that you were home this whole time and you could have come, she said, I just felt hurt. And so I had to take that in. Because, yes, I felt bad for not going. I was like, oh, man. However, I said, the night before, I was up late doing your other siblings' hair, making sure things were together for get ready to go out of town. I was handling, as I'm always handling the house. Then your other siblings wanted to go to the park. And I was tired. I said, do I not make sure I show up for mostly 99% of everything else that you do? Yes, ma'am. Even though you felt like this was the most important thing for me to show up to, that day, mommy was really tired. Yes, ma'am. I didn't intentionally go and say, I'm going to hurt Sai's feelings, or I'm going to hurt my baby girl's feelings. I'm not going to do that. And I wouldn't. You know me as a parent, right? Yes. But I was tired, and I did need that. And I'm sorry that this is the time I didn't show up, but don't negate the other 99 times I did show up because of the one time I didn't. I said, because you have to understand, I still am one person, and I'm trying my best to navigate all that I can with you guys. Could I have come and sat there from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. or dropped you off and then came back? Yeah, I could have. Would I have been stretching myself thin? I would have been stretching myself very thin. I said, so though I didn't come to that one and you felt like that was the most important, and I get it. Doesn't mean that I didn't care. That it doesn't mean that I'm not proud of you. Doesn't mean that, but don't overlook all the other times that I've been there. Because I show up, I get you there.
That's good.
So it's so many things, oh gosh, with parenting and boundaries and setting clear rules and being distinct and being intentional. I love what your daughter came and said to you, because it was a conviction within inside of you. And then even what I had to do with my daughter, she had to have a realization like, you know what? Yeah. That's right. Don't, because I always tell my children when I hear them going down this hole, coming up with mommy, I said, do not let that be the lie that you tell yourself.
Oh, come on. That's it. Come on in. Y'all lean in on this part.
Because
come on in.
Even let me tell you, and I talk to my mother. We have a good relationship, long distance. So she's her person, and my person is my space, her space. But I'm very honest when I talk to her and to others. And I'm like, listen, we could go through these different instances when we're younger. And in our minds, we could say, oh, she didn't love me. Oh, she hated me. Whatever the case, whatever we say, that's the lie we would tell ourselves. And unfortunately, for some, because my sister went through this. My sister, bless her soul, she never got a chance to have children as she wanted to. When you become a mother, you start realizing the sacrifices your mother made for you and how hard it was. You don't really know that. You can't really empathize with that until you are like, dang, childcare costs how much? And you doing it. She was doing it alone. My mom had 3 children, us two, me and my younger one, that she actively had with her. You was paying how much in the 80s? The same. You were paying that, and we paying the same thing now.
Yes.
How was you able to afford that?
Yes.
You were tired. And I try to tell my children, I tell them, listen, I'm not trying to guilt trip y'all. Y'all won't understand. Now, hopefully I'm still here. I praise the Father because tomorrow's never promised, but I pray to be here many more years. It's not till you become a parent yourself when you're going to realize, my mama really picked up our entire lives, kept moving forward. We moved from a whole other country and kept doing her very best and showing up for us. Hold up. All of us, unpack that. You can't really unpack those types of things. So what children would do, unfortunately, and they'll take it into their adulthood, which is why they have to go to therapy to heal from trauma, is they tell themselves lies. I stopped as soon as I said, don't let that be the lie, because she could have easily been like, because I didn't show up this one time. We're not going to talk about all the other volleyball games, tennis matches, choir, everything else I've been to, right? It could be this one thing.
Yeah.
My mom, she wasn't there for me when I made the all-state competition. And I just felt she was at home doing nothing. And she could have been there for me. And she wasn't. This is a lie she could easily tell herself. I said, how we going to unpack this, honey? Let's pull it back. Mama's at home tired. She's looking after my younger siblings. My stepfather, he's tired because he got to go to work in the evening. She about to go out of town. She got to make sure dinner's prepared. She got to make sure she got food for us and herself on the road. She got to make sure these kids are right. The house is clean. Hold up. Don't tell yourself no lies. Step outside yourself. And I do that immediately. And they're like, oh, you know what? You're right, mommy. I wasn't there for that one, but baby, we was at the opera house with the class on the field trip, falling asleep together. Like, come on, don't do that to me. That's not fair to me. I'm mommy, but I'm still a person. I still very much got feelings. Yeah. So yeah.
And I think with that too, because they're going to live in the world. They're going to go in the work world. They're going to be running their businesses. They're going to be, you will have people, and this is another good opportunity for them. You will have people that are saying they're going gung ho for you in your business. They're supporting you. They want to they want to show up, and that they've been there for you this entire time. So when you bring whatever the new thing is, and they're like, I'm gonna be there. We have to teach our children. People will fall short. Don't get butt hurt when they don't come through. Everybody has another life outside of yours.
Yes.
It could have been an emergency. That kid could have got sick. Whatever. Expect the best, but be prepared for the worst.
I say the same, because you don't know what's happening on the other end. You don't know what they're going through or what the case may be. And if they're a friend or whatever case may be, and they could show up and say, hey, I'm sorry about this X, Y, Z happened. And if you know them as a person, that's why it's so important to bear ourselves to our children so they can see me as a whole person, not just, I'm always on. I'm always great. No, I'm tired. I'm a little stressed. I'm sad. I'm not happy. Or I am happy. We have to show we are a whole person, the whole spectrum, so they can see how we deal with that. Or I'm angry, I'm mad. Whatever that case may be and how we deal with it. People are going to fall short, but if they can recognize within themselves and you can recognize they're not giving you an excuse, something really happened, and you can accept that, then you move on. But if you feel like, they weren't there for me, it's like, come on, give them some credit.
Yes, give them some credit. But what you just displayed was beautiful. We need to be honest with our children. We become superheroes and we wear a mask in front of our children so that they don't see the human nature of who we are as people.
Right.
And when you're showing them, I'm not happy right now. I'm sad. I am happy. Today is a good day. Da, 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 da. And they're seeing how you navigate through all of those human emotions. It's like, you know what? My mom, she may not have been the perfect, but she was the best. She showed us how to get through it all her ups and downs, happy, sad, confused, stressed out, spread out,
Yes.
all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
It works as a an internal
Yes.
GPS for them,
Yes. Yes. And yes,
and
Yes.
we do. And so
we need
this
them to
goes to my
have that.
next point of reflecting, lessons and reflecting. Looking back, what's something that you've learned about parenting and boundaries that you wish you would have known earlier?
Parenting and
Yes.
parenting and boundaries. Um,
Yes.
it's okay to be flawed. It's okay to say no.
Mhm.
It's okay to take a break while
Okay.
they're home.
Girl, where's my prayer closet? I'm running to the
You know,
closet. Goodness.
Yes.
Yes.
you know, um, it's okay to hear their opinions and their point of views.
Yes.
It's okay to hear them.
Yes.
It's okay to hear them
Yes.
share, you know. And
Yes.
I think it's important because now when I listen to my dog, because back in the day, it was the adult's last say so. Shut your
Right.
mouth. You know,
Right.
what I say goes. And now me just hearing what and I could do better because she's like, Mom, sometimes I feel like you don't hear me. You know, sometimes I'm like, okay, I
Right.
wasn't listening that time. And I know in some of the actions that I take that I could be more attentive. But outside of that, just really hearing
Yes.
what's important to them and
Yes.
loving them in
Yes.
their language,
Yes.
communicating with them on
Yes.
their level. Um,
Yes.
not being so caught up in the rush of being an adult. And yes, responsibilities will have us stressed out and doing things, but take time to
Yes,
get in their
yes, yes,
world.
yes. Oh my gosh. The difference of the boomers and the millennials, because the boomers are like, kids are to be seen, not heard, shut up. And it's just like, but I really have something to say, whereas I notice millennials, our generation is more so like, I don't want to raise my children like that. I would rather raise my children with letting them have a voice. Now, sometimes, because I have to tell my children this, it's
There's
boundaries. Because
boundaries there.
I said, listen, I give y'all a platform to speak because I need to hear your opinion, but that does not speak over me. That does not mean I listen. Like,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Don't get too, you ain't the parent. Now you don't, wait, hold on, don't get
girl.
too far, you know? Uh,
oh,
but a lot of, and that's good too. That's good because every now and again you have to,
It
it's a course
is.
correction. It's a constant course correction of letting them know
Yes.
how
Oh,
far they can
yes.
go. Right. But one
yes.
thing I do appreciate is when they see an error in me and they're not afraid
Yes.
to address it
Yes.
Yes.
because I'm not perfect, and they don't address it in a disrespectful way. They may have a tone of frustration, but they're still bringing
Yes.
it to my attention. And I take the moment to hear them and I'm like, you know what? You're right. I apologize. The other day, I was, I don't know, I was young. This is the mommy mode, right? I had my cell phone in my back pocket and I was rushing out the door and everybody was supposed to come with me. And I'm like, where's my phone? You didn't move my phone. I know somebody moved my phone. I was turning around, spinning around. And Gabby goes, Mom, your phone's in your back pocket. And I was like, okay, I got it. I said, I apologize. I'm so sorry. I
Yeah.
apologize.
Yes.
That was wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
I mean, because sometimes these children, let me tell you something. These children cross these boundaries sometimes and they take your things. Like, why do you have my charger? I don't remember you asking me. I don't remember saying yes. So I get it, but we do, yes, slowing down and having to be like, okay, let me take a pause. Let me take a pause. I have to, course correcting, you said it. Having to continuously remind them, I'm a person. I'm a person. I used to even tell women, other wives, and they would get mad with their husbands, and they'd be like, "Well, he's supposed to do this." I'm like, "He ain't no mind reader." I said, "Neither are you." It's just remembering he's a person like you're a person. He got feelings like you got feelings. Same with children. I got feelings. I'm mommy. I got feelings too, and I tell my children that hurt me. When you did X, Y, and Z, I told you to get this done. I said, because you expect me to make sure these things are done, and you're not showing up and making sure that. I should never walk into. If I done took the time, giving everybody what their chores are, typed it up, printed it out, laminated, got a magnet, and put it on the refrigerator. Okay, I shouldn't walk in my house to see anything out of place. I have a big family, y'all, but you shouldn't walk in my house and even know I got any kids. That's just how I feel. You just walk in here, you got kids? Yes. A lot of them.
Yes.
A lot
Nice,
of them.
spick and span, nice than the way I designed it. And so that's a problem for me. And I'll say, hey, what's your chore? If you can't tell me what your chore is, you haven't been doing it. Now, something I did, I haven't been enforcing, but I'm going to enforce. I said, if your chore wasn't done, especially when you hand off your chore to the next person, because the beginning of the week start on Sunday. So the last day of your chore is Saturday. When you hand off that chore to the next person to start their week, if it isn't done, you get an extra added day. What that means is you now have to do that chore from the past week for another additional day, including the new chore that's for your day starting on that Sunday. So that person, whoever that person is going into that, they get a day off. That's how it's going to go.
Hello.
And each time, and I'm like, first I was going to say a week. I said, okay, you know what? I'll just do a day.
Yeah.
I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
I'm paying attention.
Yes. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's so good. You know, and this, while you were sharing that, this made me think about me teaching my children being mindful and courteous of the people that come behind you, that come after you. Like we talk about that bathroom, right?
Oh, yes.
I said, when you leave the area, make sure it's prepared for the next person to come. I said, but I want you to think about when somebody leaves the area and it's your turn to get up there. There's toothpaste around the bowl. There's hair shavings in the sink. There's smudges. There's toothpaste splashed all over the mirror. How do you feel when you have to enter a space like that? And it's cringe. It's like, ugh, I don't even want to be here.
Yep.
So, so let's clean it up so that it's clean when you arrive, and then when the other person arrives, it's pleasant for them.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Check that seat. Check that seat before you leave that bathroom.
Let me get me started on that one. So, guys, I've been having a great conversation with you, Darvinique. This has been so wonderful, and I hope so many of you out here are enjoying this conversation about boundaries. And I want to ask this last question. We're going to have, some more great conversations and wrap it up. But something I always think about, especially when I take my children on mommy dates, I ask them to grade me as a parent. What's my grade? What can I improve on? I do want, and it's not the child like giving demands. I want you to do this, and I want 5, money every day. And no, it's nothing like that. It's I want you to make sure my meals are done. No, it's more so like, hey, mommy, when I'm talking, you cut me off, and that really makes me angry. Hey, mommy, I feel as though I'm not heard because of your responses to me. And it's fair, because some things we can unpack it, because, I think one of my children has said something like that to me. I said, well, let's talk about this. We had a discussion about this before, right? And you didn't take heed to it. I think one of my daughters said, I don't feel like I'm heard, right? So, okay, so why don't you feel like you're heard? Do you not feel like you're heard because you feel like somebody should move the way you want them to move? Or do you feel like you're not heard, like no one's seeing you and you feel like you're invisible? Like, what do you mean you're not heard? Because for me, I need to, again, I'm a solution person. We need to unpack that. I just feel like no one's listening to me and he wants to hear my opinion because, no one's listening. I said, okay, fair. That's fair. I had to tell her, I hear you all the time. I think you need to understand something as well. You want to be heard all the time, but you don't want to hear others. And if you're not practicing what you want others to do, it's going to be an uphill battle for you to even accept if someone is or isn't listening to you. I'm always listening to you. I hear everything. You are seen, honey. You not only do you make sure yourself is seen, you're seen. You just have a big person. Her presence is big. But you can't want to be heard and then you don't want to hear others. It doesn't work like that. And I said, do you understand what I mean? She's like, I said, so I could quote you. You said, yesterday you said that. Oh, mommy is listening to me. Yeah, I listen to everything you say. Even when you don't know I'm listening. You think I'm down here typing away and just not working. Yeah, I'm working. I'm listening to what's going on in my household. Oh, you are listening to me. I am. I said, but you know what you need to work on too? You need to learn on hearing and listening as well. Girl, she could ask me a question. I'm telling her the answer. She done walked off somewhere. Did you just waste my time and my breath? Girl! Like, girl, problem for me, so I just as we bring this to an end, I want to ask you, if your daughters could describe the kind of mother you are in one sentence, what do you hope they would say?
We still working on that. Wait a minute. What do I hope they?
Yeah, what
What
do
do I
you hope
hope
they
they
would
would
say?
say? I would hope they would say they feel seen, they feel loved, they feel
Ooh, I love that.
welcomed, like pulled in, and I'm putting it into practice right now as we speak, because there's always room to grow. Like last night, I was like, what if, Gabrielle was downstairs and Lily was upstairs with me. I said, I want everybody upstairs in the bed with me. I want to just hang around. I want y'all around me. I want to
Right.
hang out. I would just want you guys close. And they did, and we had a good time. We was laughing and kicking up Cheerios. And,
I love that term. Oh, go ahead.
kicking up some Cheerios. But I would hope they would say that, because, and even with myself, like when my kids speak to me, sometimes I don't hear them, and I act like I am, like I act like I can't hear them with the response. Oh, really? And sometimes the response don't even match what they talking about. So I gotta make a correction there. So yesterday, Lily told me, she said, "Mom, I need you to listen to me," and I said, "I am." She said, "You are not looking at
Come
me."
on, undivided attention. Come on, undivided attention.
Come on, underbody.
I put the phone down. I got down like on my knees, and I looked her eye to eye, and I said, "Yes, honey." And she lit up like a tree. She just lit up like a tree, and she felt
Yes.
heard. So
Yes.
I'm working on that. That's what I would hope they would say. I'm a parent in
Right.
progress.
That's so. I like that you said that you was, saying the sound bites that weren't matching the actual conversation. Because let me tell you, again, with these boundaries, if I'm doing something and you just start running off at the mouth, I am not listening to you. And I told my main ones. I got my main culprits that do this all the time. I'm over here just working. And these are my teenagers, y'all. These are my little ones. These are my teenagers. They're. This is the reason why we have this episode, you guys, because they are working on their boundaries with me. Again, I could say, "Give me one moment," and they keep talking. And then want to be like, "You didn't hear me?" Like I didn't just say, "Give me a moment," and so I stopped responding. If I'm working, because I have a lot going on up here. I am getting downloads from the Father. It's a lot going on. So what I do now is I say, I am not listening to you. Give me a moment so that I can actually give you my undivided attention. If you just start coming and talking while you see me on my phone, because I'm on my phone, I'm editing, on my computer, I'm typing or scripting or whatever the case may be. That means I am in tune with what I am already doing. You cannot come and cross my boundaries and bombard my space because you feel like, oh, it's about me right now, and so I did to my mom this. No, I don't work like that at all as the person. It makes me anxious because now I'm losing my thoughts. I'm losing the process that I was on. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I have a checklist in my head also that, after this, I'm going to go ahead and do that. After this, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And you just interrupted that. So what I do now, I'm sorry, I have to ignore them. And then when I'm done, I'll say, did you see that I was working? Did you see? Oh yes, ma'am. Okay, so that means I was in that moment doing something and I wasn't able to give you my undivided attention. So whatever you said, I don't know what it was. I don't know. You probably asked me to go to the moon. I don't know. And then, yes, ma'am. And then I'll say, so what did you say? Oh, I just said, can we go to the dollar store? Because I want to buy. You know how these children be. So, boundaries, y'all. Boundaries. Boundaries. Why boundaries are a must. I'm telling you. They're very important with everyone, with work, friends, relationships, spouses, children, parents, everybody, trees, leaves, wood, look. Everything. We got to set these boundaries. I even tell the dog, you come in my backyard. Back up. Coming across that gate. Look, but it's serious. The only way we can protect our sanity, especially within this time right now of being inundated with so much information around us. We have to give ourselves boundaries. Close the computer, sit down, take a breath, breathe, be in silence, take a walk. Whatever you can do, just to where you can just pause for a moment and like my good sister over there say, and get a good download, okay? Because he's always speaking to us. The Father's always speaking to us on what our next step should be. So we got to start with these boundaries, though. So, oh my God, this has been so amazing. I had so much fun talking to you today and getting into this. What you want to leave the audience with? Let's let them know your information, where they can find you, your handles, where you're at, where they can come on now. Because let me tell you something. She's also an author. I forgot to say that in the intro. She's also an author. Let me tell you, okay? So let the folks know where they can find you, Mrs. Darvinique Hawthorne.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This has been very therapeutic, entertaining, and wholesome, all in one. You guys can find me on I am DARVINIQUE, and that's 2 I's in the I am, and that's Instagram, and then Darvinique on all other social media platforms like Facebook. I'm easy to find. Maybe we can get a little.
Oh, we will definitely have that. We'll have your name popped up. We'll have her information definitely down below in the notes. And again, I love you. You are my sister. I'm so happy that you did this with me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm excited to, I hope you all, want to come into the why world with why. I have so many things that I want to discuss. And so thank you so much, sis. Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of Why Boundaries Are a Must. Okay. No problem. All right, lady. Now, if you're anything like me, you got to talk about it. And sometimes you got to read about it, which is why today on this episode of Why Boundaries Are a Must, we have a spotlight on the book Set Boundaries, Find Peace by none other than Nedra Glover Tawwab. What she does with this book is brilliant. She's talking about the healthy boundaries that she's practiced in her life, how she's practiced being more assertive and self-disciplined, and talk about the times that she suffered in silence, and I'm sure a lot of us have been through. I know I have. Raise your hand if you're with me, okay? But she goes in deep on why you don't set boundaries and the overwhelming resentment and avoidance that most of us feel when we don't put that in place. So like I said, if you're into listening to Audible books like I am, click that link in my bio. I have an affiliate link that'll take you there so that you can sign up for a subscription and start getting monthly credits and picking as many books as you can possibly choose to read, download, and enjoy. It's always great to be able to have books at your fingertips, especially books that you can listen to on the go while you're driving in that car. Audible has been able to change my life because I'm able to listen on the go, and I hope it can change yours. Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab. It's a good read or a good listen to. So go on ahead and click the link in my bio so that you can go ahead and subscribe to Audible. There are times in our life where we must have to step into what we know is our little cove. And we have to set boundaries with others that are around us, within our families or outside of our families, or else we won't have any sanity. I love that type A solution that Ms. Darvinique talked about, because if I say do something, do it quickly and do it with intention. But I also feel like we both agreed it goes both ways. Being intentional, do it quickly as parents or even as spouses and as daughters and sisters and the such. If someone asks us of something, it would be good to make sure we understand the boundaries that we've set in place, but to get it done and get it done quickly and to get it done without hemming and hawing. You know how folks be like, what? Come on now, that doesn't make a person feel special, you know? So I want to say thank you, y'all, for joining me for another episode of Why. Well, why is always the question on the Why podcast. And I want to leave y'all with this. Question everything, starting with why. Because why is always the question. Bye, y'all. And I'm not.